What's up guys, welcome to Blake's Garage. Today we're working on project free E36. This is the BMW E36 that I literally got for free. Now this started out as a budget build. I've pretty much done all of the budget modifications that we can do to this car. Now, mind you, the next modifications that we're gonna do in this video are pretty budget friendly as long as you do it as a DIY. I mean, they're not super expensive, but it is something that you are gonna wanna do. So we're gonna do a full rebuild to the rear subframe section of this BMW E36 with these Revshift bushings. Now he makes some really high quality polyurethane stuff. Revshift is the best bushing manufacturer in my opinion. So you can see right here, like just the attention to detail, right? So right here, RT, right top, right? So that's what it means, it goes on the right top. The machining, the actual, like, just, oh, they're just so smooth, they're so nice. Those right there are for the rear subframe. These are for the rear trailing arm bushing, so we'll be doing these as well. That is a huge deal on these cars. The RTABS can go bad, they can wear out, and literally the rear end can kind of pop out of these cars. So definitely something you're gonna wanna do. We got these new bushings, so E36 differential bushings. Now, in this video, what we'll be doing is throwing in this limited slip differential. This is a 328 LSD out of an automatic. We'll be putting new bushings in here, reinforcing all that stuff and everything in this video as well. First things first, let's get this freaking subframe out of the car. On another video, I'll be welding in reinforcement plates and that sort of thing. You'll see that as a second video if you guys want to tune in for that one. But this is going to be just primarily Revshift bushings. We're gonna work under here. Try to not get bit by anything. I'm gonna clean up any spider webs that I have under this bad boy right now. Looks pretty straightforward. We'll basically take the wheels off first. We'll take the bottom of the struts off right there, just the shocks. We'll pull the exhaust off, because why not? That's pretty simple, straightforward. Then we'll take the drive shaft off. I'm gonna show you guys how to remove the e-brake, which technically is not that hard, but if this is the first time you've ever looked at it, it's a little bit difficult. Remove the pads with a little 5mm Allen, basically getting in there and spinning it. There's this little Allen, it's a 5mm Allen. See this little barbed in here? That barbed in basically goes into the back right there in that little hole and twists in. That allows kind of the drum to come loose. So you're gonna have two of those. You got one there and one right down in here. I just kind of separated the drums right here and I removed this guy. Oh, I guess only half of it. This is the adjuster for the tension on the drum. So you actually adjust this up or down with a screwdriver with a flathead. That way you get your drums adjusted correctly for your e-brake. Went ahead and pulled that e-brake cable out and it's out of there. That is pretty much what you do for these e-brakes, and you'll put it back in the same order, just backward. Try to kind of evenly or unevenly jack this up, I don't even know. Just try to get the weight off until the damn thing falls out. Rear subframe sitting pretty on the ground. I just got to get the jack under this thing, kind of pull it out, and then we can disassemble the diff and get all the bits off of it and start removing the bushings themselves. I did take it out with the rear diff. Now, something that I'm thinking about that maybe I should have done beforehand might have been breaking the axle nuts loose, just because of e-brake assembly and kind of keeping that in its place. But yeah, I don't know, we'll see how that goes. So let's go ahead and try to bust those loose. Those look like they are e-torque, so I gotta grab my e-torques and we'll try to pop off the axle stubs, and then we can actually pull out the differential itself. We're gonna pull out these, boom, boom. There's one up there in the front. You can see these old subframe bushings, pretty blown out, pretty cracked. So this is gonna make a huge difference on the rear end of the car. It doesn't look like any of the mounting areas are cracked. That's a big issue on E36s, more so E46s, but it's something to take into account when you do an E36 as well. It's definitely something to beef up also, because that can become a problem down the line. I'm using an E12 socket. I don't have an impact one, but this seems to be working good. Mid-torque impact wrench seems to have enough torque to bust these things loose. I will say those are on there pretty damn tight, so do this before removing the subframe if you don't have a good impact gun or anything like that. just because it's gonna make your life a little bit easier. I'm gonna remove the sway bar here. Oops. Great, there's a nut on the other side. Why? Who knows? I don't know. Anyways, let's see if we can't remove these. Cool. Got those little end links off. For the rear differential, we got a couple 18 millimeters. We'll pop out. Boom, and then we got one in the front. So now that you've made a giant mess, I basically disassembled the upper control arms and the camber arms and kind of stripped down the rear subframe here. Now we can go ahead and install the subframe bushings, all four of these guys with the new Revshift stuff here. Like I was saying before, I don't know if you guys remember because it's probably been a while into this video, but basically everything is labeled. So for example, this one right here says RT, right top, and it says PSB-E36. So just kind of keep that in mind, that all of these have their appropriate locations. See, FT, front top, right? So they're even like notched. See how they're notched out right there? So these bushings are amazing. They are super high quality. And then also we got our differential ones here and our RTABS bushings, which are basically these guys right here. Now look at how bad this is. If you see this side, look at this. See that? That's not supposed to happen. That's supposed to be all one little piece there, and that is super wiggly. Even worse, I mean, that thing is just like hollow, so those needed to be done ASAP. So this is going to really stiffen up the suspension, get it nice and tight again, and really just liven up the car again. This thing honestly handled very well before, but you know, these little modifications are gonna fix that stuff up so it feels very nice. I was gonna press it out, but turns out this thing is not that easy to fit into a press. So I just did a little map gas torching, lit the thing on fire, and this is probably the easiest way to do it DIY wise. You just kind of do this and the dang thing will fall out of there. Obviously trying to not make a fire in the process. So once these things get pretty roasty toasty, you can actually pull it out by, well, the metal sleeve area. Obviously you want to use some sort of screwdriver or something like that, but you'll see that you can just kind of push it out. Sometimes they'll literally pop out, which is cool. Alright, so literally the rubber is just now kind of burning out of that area. So I'll keep that going and then I'll move on to the next one, but you pretty much just do that on all four. As you can see, this is a metal sleeve. So once it does it, it actually helps it kind of expand and gets its way out of there so you can, you know, get those new bushings in. So now I'm doing the rear control arm bushings right here. Running these ones out as well. This thing just is just too big to fit in the press, honestly. Without a second person, maybe if I had a friend with me, it'd be a little easier, but just doing this and just kind of prying it out seems to work pretty well. It worked really well on all the other bushings, so I'm just gonna continue that and pry them out. So if you don't like the burning method, what I did on this guy is I was actually able to cut out this RTABS bushing. I used an oscillating tool to kind of get in there and get these deep cuts here. And then once I kind of bored out the center with the oscillating tool, I used a Sawzall, got it in there, and was able to basically trim this up. So now I'm pretty much just press fitting this new bushing in here. I'm gonna go ahead and lube it up and get it in. The Revshift bushings are very tight, so just keep that in mind. You may need to kind of press them or hit them or whatever, just using a little clamp, I just kind of put 2 pieces of steel in between there, so that thing is nice and tight now. So you know, it'll be ready to bolt back in. I guess I can go ahead and even put the little carrier piece back on, that way it's all ready to go. But yeah, that thing looks great. Sweet. So as far as the bushings go, you got an FT, which is a front top. So you kind of see where the area is notched here, and you'll see where this is notched kind of here with the weld. So that is going to go right in here. Hopefully we can just press that in. All right, now I did put these in the freezer, so that kind of made them a little bit smaller. So these should have a pretty dang good fit. You may need to use a vise to get them in there, so I'm probably gonna have to use a vise in the rest. The front top here, lube that up. See if we can't get the bottom in first. The bottom is really tight, so we'll go with the front top again. We'll line up the areas to that welded mark. That way that's all good. And kind of get that piece in there. See what you got here? You got that little notch. That's for that weld. And you got it right over here. So it fits very, very nicely. That's what I love about these bushings. It really takes a lot of quality, a lot of time and a lot of care to get these bushings correct. So that looks good there. Okay, now let's focus on the rear top, so the RT, right? It's gonna go right here. Let's see if I can't get that in. Oh, it's pretty tight. Take just a metal plate and a metal plate, that way I don't mess up the bushing, and a C-clamp. You have a press and you can figure out how to get those in there, and you're able to press on it nice and evenly and out of the way. Maybe you have 2 people, great. I was having a little bit of issue just with the kind of the odd shape of the subframe on my press, so I'm not even using that. I'm just doing it like this, and honestly, as you can see, it's pretty easy. You may want something to give this a little bit more torque, like a wrench or something, just so you can squeeze this down quickly, but as you can see, it's pretty easy. So that pretty much wraps up the subframe bushing install, and then you also have your RTAB for those Revshift bushings. As you can see, these things fit absolutely amazing. Super nice fitment, super high quality on these bad boys, so I highly recommend them. I'll put a link down below in the description. Basically now you put everything back together and you throw it in the car. So I'm gonna do a couple more modifications on this car, so stay tuned and subscribe if you guys would like. I post a lot of videos on BMWs and European cars and things like that. I actually have a Porsche Macan now and stuff. So yeah, got an E36, 2 E30 BMWs, and a F82 M4. So you guys can see a lot of content with that. I'm gonna be doing some grinding, I'm gonna be doing some cleanup. Stay tuned, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Later, and wrench on.